ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
ॐ सहना
ॐ
भवतु
सहनावतु
सहनौ
सह
भुनक्तु सह
सहनावतु
वीर्यं
सह
कर्वावहै
वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
ॐ
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्तिः।
शान्तिः।
हरि ओम्।
हरि
हरिः
ओम्।
ओम्।
Okay, so in the last class, we had seen the Prathama Padaha, the first Pada of Turiam, and now we are on mantra number 4, which is the second Pada. We will chant. Mantra number 4, Mandukya Upanishad, Agama Prakaranam. Swapnasthano antah prajñah
स्वप्नस्थानो
स्वस्थानो
अन्तः
अन्तः प्रज्ञः
प्रज्ञः
saptang एकोनविंशतिमुखः
सप्ताङ्ग
सप्ताङ्ग
एकोनविंशतिमुखः
एकोनविंशतिमुखः
प्रविविक्तभुक्तैजसो द्वितीयः पादः
प्रविविक्तभुक्तैजसो
प्रविविक्तभुक्तैजसो
द्वितीयः
द्वितीयः पादः।
पादः
Okay, so this second pada, whose second pada? My second pada, because I am the consciousness principle, the Chaitanya Tattva. The second aspect of me is called Swapna Sthanaha. Sthana is the place. So that consciousness principle, that version of me, which is obtaining in the dream world, in the Swapna Avastha. So this consciousness obtaining in the Swapna Avastha is my second aspect. And here I am associated with what Namarupa?
सूक्ष्म
Sukshma Namarupa, right? Why are they called Sukshma? Because they are all projections of the mind only. So the dream objects, the dream, even the dream time and space, Kala, even the Deshaha, even the Panchabhutas in the dream, they are all mental projection only. So Vasanamaya Namarupaha. And therefore in this Swapnasthanam, the Dvitiya Pada, I also have a name called Sukshma Atma. You remember in the first one we had Sthula Atma. So here it is Sukshma Atma. And when I am associated with this dream names and forms, with this Sukshma Namarupa, remember that I am again dividing myself into two. Right? What is that? The Swapna Pramata, the knower in the dream, and the Swapna Prameyam, the known objects in the dream. So Swapna Prapancha, I alone am. Swapna Pramata also, I alone am. What is the difference between my appearing as Swapna Pramata and Swapna Prapancha? What associations do I have? You have to learn to, do this mananam. In Swapna Pramata, as Swapna Pramata, I am associated with what? Namarupa. But what Namarupa? Sukshma Namarupa. But what Sukshma Namarupa? Vyashti or Samashti?
व्यष्टि
Vyashti. Right. So in the Swapna Pramata role that I play, I am associated with Vyashti Namarupa. In the Swapna Prapancha role that I play, I am associated with what? Samashti Namarupa.
समष्टि नामरूप
Is it not? Yeah. So Vyashti Namarupa Drishtaya, from the point of view of the Vyashti Namarupa, I am called the Swapna Pramata. From the aspect of the Samashti Namarupa, I am the Swapna Prameyam. As Swapna Pramata, I have a technical name. What is that?
Taijasa.
Taijasa. As Swapna Prameyam, I have another technical name. What is that? Hiranyagarbha. Right. So Taijasa plus Hiranyagarbha, this combination is the Sukshma Atma, which is my second aspect, Dvitiya Padaha. Okay, now look at the mantra. Dvitiya Padaha is Swapnasthanaha, right? And Antah Prajnaha. Swapnasthanaha we have seen. That is because I am associated with the Sukshma Namarupa, both Vyashti and Samashti. And Anta Prajnaha. So Prajnaha is the consciousness which is turned Antaha, turned inwards. What does it mean? In Swapna Avastha, my consciousness, I, the consciousness principle, am turned inwards. And inwards, to understand inwards, you have to, uh, be aware of the waker's body. From the point of view of the waker's body, the Jagrat body, my consciousness is turned inwards. I, the conscious principle, am looking inwards of Swapnavastha, basically meaning that the Jnanendriyas and the Karmendriyas are not operational. And therefore, unlike in the Jagrata Avastha, where I perceive the external world, in the Swapna Avastha, I perceive only the internal world. The external world is blocked from my vision because Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas are closed. Therefore, I experience a projected mental world, projected where? In my mind. By my mind, in my mind. Now, in his commentary, Shankara explains how this dream is created. Okay, well, this we have not seen anywhere else. We have talked about this, but it appears here in this particular mantra, in the commentary on this mantra. So he says that when you are in Jagrata Avastha, as Vishwa, you are interacting with the external world. And therefore, there are vasanas created in the mind. Like you see a tree, you see a tiger, you see a lion, you see some people, you have experiences. All these are creating impressions in your mind which are called vasanas. Right? So, to put it crudely, during Jagrata Avastha, your mind is functioning like a video recorder. Of course, a very sophisticated video recorder where the smells are also recorded. So the audio, the video, and the smells are recorded. And even the thoughts which you get during that avastha, fright, you're frightened, you're angry, you're jealous, all these thoughts are also recorded. So a very, very sophisticated video recorder, much more sophisticated than anything that is available to us. So it's recording. Then he says, in the dream, the organs which have served as inputs for that recording, right? What are the organs? Eyes, nose, tongue, ears, all those. Those indriyas are all non-functional. And therefore, in the dream, these vasanas are activated, right? Now, you have thousands of impressions every single day. So thousands of vasanas are there in your mind. And in your life, there will be thousands of vasanas out of this life and crores out of the previous lives. So during the Swapna Avastha, some of these vasanas are activated. What determines which vasana is activated? What can determine?
What you were thinking before you went to sleep?
No, that's very Western. That is not what determines. What determines what? See, in Swapna Avastha, beg your pardon,
The karmic
what is
like
what is the right word?
जो right word.
प्रारब्ध कर्म.
Prarabdha karma.
Mm.
Why is that so? Because just like in Jagrada Avastha, your Prarabdha gives you what? Pleasures and pains. Correct? In the Swapna Avastha also, your experiences give you pleasure or pain or not.
Yes.
And
Yes.
therefore, the activation is purely because of Prarabdha alone. Just like in Jagrada Avastha, Prarabdha is activated. Similarly, in Swapna Avastha also, Prarabdha is functioning. And because of those Prarabdha, it determines which of those samskaras are activated. Right? One difference is in the Jagrada Avastha, while your Prarabdha is activated, you go through experiences and there is recording there. Just like I said in the beginning, all sort of things are recorded. But in Swapna Avastha, there is no fresh recording. Only what has been previously recorded is being replayed. So there is no recording button in, in Swapna Avastha. Okay, now a very technical point. In Jagrada Avastha, if you recall the uh, discussion we had about how the mind flows out, knowledge, basically the epistemology of knowledge. When the mind flows out, it envelops a particular object, let us say a glass or a rose. Then the Chidabhasa goes and contacts that object, and then there is revealed. Right? So Vritti Vyapti and Phala Vyapti we saw. I hope you remember the terms. But in dreams, does one require the Chidhavasa to flow into the sense organs? It's a very interesting point to think about. In Jagrada Avastha, when I am looking at a rose, let us say, what is the process which Vedanta says? Through your eyes, the vritti flows out and envelops the rose. What is that part called?
Vritti vyapti.
Vritti. Then the Chidhabhasa in the thought, that also envelops the rose and therefore the rose is revealed. That is called Phalavya. I hope you guys remember, okay? This is an advanced class. Now, in dream, if you are as the dream Pramata, you are seeing the dream rose, is it the same process?
No,
No, it's the memory of that
Vyapti is not there.
experience.
It's already recorded and available.
Okay, but what is the technical explanation? In the dream, your dream is where? In your mind, right? Internal. Does the mind already have Chidhavasa or not?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so therefore, remember that in the dream, unlike in Jagrata Avastha, every object is self-revealing. Because Chidabhasa is already there, present in every object. Whichever object has got Chidabhasa, it reveals itself to you. And therefore, your dream rose already has Chidabhasa. You don't need your sense organ to flow out and envelop and all that. Vritti Vyapti, Phala Vyapti, things are not necessary. Unlike in Jagrada Avastha, where Vritti Vyapti and Phala Vyapti are necessary. In Swapna Avastha, we don't need the help of those gross sense organs because everything is self-revealing. Okay. Now, one more thing, one more point. It's all very technical, meant for understanding. Okay. In Jagrada Avastha, in the waking state, if you are looking at the pot, let us say, ghata, the ghata vritti the pot thought is generated. Why? Because of the presence of the ghata there, the object pot. When the sense organ, the eyes, when the thought flows out to the eye and envelops the pot, because of the presence of the pot, there is a pot thought. Now, in the dream state, when you are seeing a pot, is the pot there? The Jagrata Avastha pot is not there. And that is why in Shankara's commentary he says, Kevala Prakashaha Sarupayam. They are all self-evident. You don't need Vritti Vyapti, Phala Vyapti, all those things. But Kevalam only is the adjective, the Visheshanam, to indicate that there is no Jagrata Avastha object present in the dream. Okay, it's a very nice discussion that he has on this subject. Okay, then we go to the next word, which is Ekona Vimshati Mukha. Ekona Vimshati. What is it?
19.
19. 19. Mukha. Mukha here is gate, face, or organ of interaction. So, Ekona Vimshati Mukha. There are 19 dream organs of interaction. Right. Remember that in the Swapna Avastha, the Swapna Ahankara also has Abhimanam, identification. With whom? With the Swapna son, Swapna wife, Swapna daughter, Swapna bank account, all this is there. And therefore, all the organs, the 19 organs which are there in a Jagrata Avastha are also present in the Swapna Avastha, but as Swapna Indriyas. Right? Okay. That is why 19. Then the next one is Pravivikta Bhuktaha. Right? So through these 19 dream organs, what is their function? The dream world, Swapna Prapancha, has to be experienced. What is the difference between this Swapna Indriyas and the Jagrata Indriyas? The Jagrata Indriyas are made out of Panchabhutas. The Swapna Indriyas are made out of what?
Vasanas.
Vasanas, your mental thoughts only, right? And therefore, the mind, which is the main, actor in this whole dream sequence, the mind divides itself into experiencer, experience, and the experienced. The Triputi. The Triputi is the mind itself. And therefore, when I say I am the experiencer of Sukshma Prapancha, the word Praviviktaha. Praviviktaha here, basically it means Sukshma. Pravivikta Bhuktaha means the one who is experiencing the Sukshma Prapancha. Bhuktaha means experiencer or Bhoktaha. Bhuktaha is Bhoktaha, the experiencer. Praviviktaha is that subtle universe, Bhuktaha, I am experiencing as what? As the Swapna Prapancha. Okay. And here you should not forget the parallel with the Vishwa. Here I am Tajasa. As Tajasa, the Swapna Pramata, I am experiencing the Pravikta, Sukshma Prapancha. But as Vishwa, remember that my experience is also in the form of thoughts. That idea we should be very clear. The Swapna Prapancha is experienced by the Swapna Prapata as thoughts only. right? But we should not forget that even in Jagrata Avastha, as a Vishwa, whatever names and forms I'm experiencing is also in the forms of thoughts only, right? There is only one difference. The Vishwa's thoughts are associated with objects outside me, external objects. The Taijasa's thoughts are associated with objects in the mind only, so they do not have an external association. That is why anta prajnaha, right? And therefore Shankara writes, for the dreamer, all experiences are to be taken as based on vasana only and without any objects. Therefore, praviviktaha. So pravivikta bhuktaha is also called sukshma bhuktaha. Bhuktaha meaning bhokta, the experiencer. The next is saptangaha. Saptangaha is 7 limbs. And if you have to understand this, you have to remember Chandogya Upanishad. Virat was thought of as what? With 7 limbs, right? So just as the Virat is worshipped with 7 limbs there, here I become the Virat in Swapna Avastha. Sun, Swapna, Swargaloka, etc. Therefore, not only am I the Taijasa, I am also the Swapna Samashti. Right? And as the association with Samashti Namarupa is there in Swapna, I am also Hiranyagarbha. So as from the point of view of association with the dream name and form, the dream body of the Pramata, I am called Taijasa. Associated with the dream world, I am called Hiranyagarbha. Right? So in this mantra, the word Taijasa is given, but Hiranyagarbha has not been given. We have to supply. And Taijasa plus Hiranyagarbha, the combination is Dvitiya Padaha, Sukshma Atmaha, my second aspect. Again, I will repeat. When I say the dreamer experiencer experiences the inner world, the world inner is from whose point of view?
The waker.
Waker's point of view. Remember, from the dreamer's point of view, in the dream world, if you are the dreamer, the Swapna Pramata, the Swapna Prapancha is external to you in the dream world. You are part of the dream world. You are experiencing the dream objects. Therefore, as a dream, the dream world is external to you. As a waker's viewpoint, the dreamer and the dream world are both internal to you. Any questions? All very, very subtle ideas which we have to assimilate very, very well. It's a tough Upanishad, so even though it's only 12 mantras, so any problem, please raise it immediately. In the absence of any questions, I will assume that everybody is a jnani and we will go ahead. Okay. Mantra number 5. Please unmute yourself, we will chant. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate.
Yatra
यत्र सुप्तो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते
Na kanchana swapnam pasyati.
न कञ्चन स्वप्नं पश्यति
Tat sushuptam.
तत् सुषुप्तं
Sushupta sthana ekibhutah.
सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूतः
प्रज्ञान घन एवानंदमयो ह्यानंद भुक्त चेतो मुखः
प्रज्ञानघन एवानन्दमयो
ह्यानंद भुक्त
ज्ञानन्दमुखः
चेतो मुखः
मुखः
प्राज्ञस्तृतीय पादः
प्राज्ञस्तृतीयपादः
So as you can see, we are now on the Tritiya Padaha, the third Pada, the third aspect of me. And what is that? It is I, the consciousness principle, but Sushupta Sthanaha, I who am associated with Sushupti Avastha. So again to remember, associated with Jagrata Avastha, I, Brahman, I, Atma, am what? I am the waker. Associated with Swapnavastha, I, Brahman, am the dreamer. Associated with Sushupti Avastha, I, Brahman, am the deep sleeper. So this names Tajasa, Vishwa, etc. These names are from the point of the avasthas, right? From the viewpoint of my association with Jagrata Avastha, I am Vishwa the waker. From the viewpoint of my association with Swapna Nama Rupa, Swapna Avastha, I am Taijasa the dreamer. From the point of my association with Sushupti Avastha, I am Prajna. But without the connection with the avasthas, remember, without the connection with any of the avasthas, I am neither Vishwa nor Tajasa nor Pragya. Right? So we'll come to that. So here Upanishad is giving a definition of the Sushupti Avastha. So of course, we should not hear that. In the case of Jagrata and Swapna Avastha, no definition was given. Okay. But here is giving a definition. So, Yatra Suptaha na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pasyati tat sushuptam. Right? Is fairly simple Sanskrit. In that state, na kanchana kamam kamayate. A particular state of deep sleep in which na kanchana kamam kamayate, you do not have any desire for external objects. And na kanchana swapnam pasyati, in which you do not have any dreams, no dream world exists. Such a state is called tat sushuptam, is called sushupti. So sushuptam means the state of deep or dreamless state, a dreamless sleep, right? The people say deep sleep, and when we say deep, we should always associate it with dreamless, right? Now there is an idea which comes across in some books and some teachers where they say that there is a state of sleep called REM, rapid eye movement sleep. So some people, some teachers or some texts, they associate REM sleep with Sushupti. Is that tenable?
No.
What happens in REM sleep?
I thought REM was associated with dream.
Yes, REM is active dreaming. That is why your eyeballs are moving. So this idea I'm just pointing out may be incorrect. Of course, it's just by the way, because some people would have read somewhere that REM sleep is Sushupti, but it is wrong. Okay. Now, so now Upanishad is coming to the third pada, which is the name, which is my name when I am associated with Sushupti Avastha. Tritiya Padaha, the consciousness viewed from the deep sleep state. Now there is another name for the deep sleep state, the Karana Atma. So you have to again recall Sthula Atma, Sukshma Atma, and here you are the Karana Atma. Right? What is the condition here? Eki Bhutaha. Eki Bhutaha is where there is no difference at all. A state where no differences are seen. Right? Remember that Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, these differentiations, they arise only because of our five sense organs. And because of these five sense organs, we generally classify the world into five segments. But during Sushupti Avastha, all the sense organs are non-functional and therefore Eki Bhutaha. Differences have merged. You have to clearly understand, merger does not mean destruction or non-existence. It means going into potential condition. Why do we say this merger is going into potential condition? Why can you not say that during merger the differences are destroyed?
The differences are not destroyed. When one wakes up, they come back.
Correct. So when one wakes up, the differences are again seen, again manifest. And therefore the correct definition is, it is going into potential condition, which is avyakta avastha, which is why we are saying eki bhutaha can be called karana avastha or avyakta avastha also. Because from both the avasthas, from karana avastha the karyam emerges, the differences emerge. If you say avyakta avastha, from avyakta avastha the vyaktaha, manifest state emerges. Now, Shankara again gives some inputs over here, all very, very interesting. He says, Eki Bhutaha should be taken as the result of the Jagrad Avastha and the Swapna Avastha becoming one. Right? Eki Bhutaha, Shankara says, is the result of Jagrad Avastha and Swapna Avastha becoming one state. So, how? By resolving into Sushupti. Therefore, the dualistic experience, the Dvaita experience in Jagrada Avastha, as well as the Dvaita experience of Swapna Avastha. What is the Dvaita experience of Jagrada Avastha? Pramata, Prameyam. What is the Dvaita experience of Swapna Avastha? Swapna Pramata, Swapna Prameyam. There is duality in both. So he says, when you say Eki Bhutaha, these experiences are experienced in Sushupti, but in a different manner, as lack of experience. He says that the Dvaita experience of Jagrad and the Dvaita experience of Swapna, they are experienced in Sushupti, but they're experienced as lack of experience, blankness, if you want to call it. Right? What is Shankara trying to say? These two universes, the Jagrat Prapancha and the Swapna Prapancha, they don't actually dissolve, right? Because what is the proof? Your body continues to be there, your bed continues to be there, your house continues to be there, but they are not experienced by the person in Sushupti Avastha. So it's like a dissolved mass. Therefore, Eki Bhutaha. Shankara is very clear. You should take it as appearing to have been dissolved, but not actually dissolved. Oh, right. But not experienced. Why not experienced? Because the ignorance Sushupti Ajnanam has covered both the Dvaita Prapanchas. The Sushupti Ajnanam has veiled both the Dvaita Jagrat Prapancha and the Dvaita Swapna Prapancha. And therefore it is Ekibhutaha, but only from the point of view of experience. Right? It is like when in the night, let us say that the power has gone off. You cannot experience or see the objects in your room. Your capacity to observe them has been lost because the capacity of your eyes to observe them has been lost because of the lack of the light medium. And therefore, it's a very interesting point here. If you cannot differentiate objects, I'll repeat, if you cannot differentiate objects, you cannot differentiate the object cognitions also. The object thoughts also cannot be differentiated. Right? Usually, when my eyes are functioning, there are many different objects. Glass is there, flask is there, rose is there, vessel is there, right? Car is there. And therefore, there are very many different. The idea being presented is that the objects are external to you, but they are different. And as many different objects are there, that many internal differentiated thoughts are there, cognitions are there. Whereas in Sushupti Avastha, because the Indriyas are not functional, the object differentiation goes away. And when the object differentiation goes away, the cognition differentiation also goes away. The differentiation of thoughts also goes away. Therefore, it is called Prajnana Ganaha. The mind is absent. All forms of knowledge are undifferentiated mass of knowledge. The differentiation is gone. Prajnana Ganaha. Ganaha means undifferentiated mass. Prajnanam is the knowledge. Prajnana Ganaha. All forms of knowledge are in the undifferentiated Karana Avastha because the mind is absent and there can be no cognitions. Therefore, Eki Bhutaha means the merger of the objects and Prajnana Ganaha, merger of the thoughts of the objects. Eki Bhutaha, lack of differentiation of objects. Prajnana Ganaha, lack of differentiation of the thoughts, lack of differentiation of the cognitions, lack of differentiation of the knowledge of the objects. Okay, am I going too much? Is the head spinning? I must know if you guys are able to follow.
G, understood.
No problems?
Explain the difference between Ekibhuta and Prajnanagana.
Fine. So as long as that clarity is there, we'll continue. Therefore, prajna here means specific knowledge of an object. Ganaha means undifferentiated mass. Therefore, prajnana ganaha means the knowledge of the objects as separate objects doesn't exist. The knowledge itself has been undifferentiated, non-differentiated. Then the next word is Anandamaya. Anandamaya, right? Now, how does Anandamaya come into this? So, this prajna, the pramata in the Sushupti Avastha is Anandamaya, is saturated with Ananda, is full of Ananda. And why is this prajna full of Ananda? So there are two reasons. The individual Namarupa, Vyashti Namarupa is a Upadhi, right? That Upadhi passes on its limitations to me, the Atma, usually, whether it be Jagrata Avastha or Swapna Avastha. Upadhis are never free of problems. Therefore, the body and the mind, which always have problems, in the Jagrata Avastha, they pass on their limitations to me. But during Sushupti Avastha, they are resolved. Those limitations are no longer passed on to me because they are not functional. Right? So individuality is always caused by Namarupa. I am male, I am female, I am 10 foot high, I am 5 foot high. Right? But at the time of Sushupti Avastha, this limiting Namarupa, this Upadhi, which gives limitations, it gets resolved. So I do not take myself as a individual anymore. I take myself as the non-localized Brahman or Atma. And therefore individuality is resolved. Once individuality has gone, the corresponding sense of limitation also goes away. That is why Sushupti Avastha, I am limitless. Right? Again, when I say I'm limitless, you have to take it very clearly. The understanding must be very clear. The limitations have not been negated. Right? The word negation should not be used in Sushupti Avastha. The limitations have become dormant, as good as non-existent, because the moment I come out of Sushupti Avastha, the limitations come back. When the limitations have been negated, they don't come back at all. And that limitation is possible only through knowledge, through jnana. Therefore, in Sushupti Avastha, because of the limitation having become non-functional, because of the non-functioning of the Upadhi, the limitations are good as non-existent, or as good as non-existent. They are there, but in potential form. And therefore, I experience limitlessness, anandaha, right? Anantatvam. So again, since we have done Upanishads, Chandogya, I will quote, Yo vai bhuma tadamritam atha yadalpam kanmrityam. Remember, Yo vai bhuma, that which is bhuma, limitless, is amritam, is eternal. Atha, yat alpam, that which is finite, tat mrityam, that is mortal, that is finite. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukhamasti. Very beautiful 7th chapter from Chandogya. So in Sushupti, I am, even though it's only temporarily, I am without limitations. I am Anantaha, and therefore only Anandamayaha. Ananda has to be taken as Ananta over here, limitless happiness. Right? Okay. But there are two forms, I mean, all grammar, okay? There are two forms of the usage of the word Anandaha. One is Anandamayaha and one is Ananda Swarupaha. Mayaha is what? Is a product. Anandamayaha is therefore temporary limitlessness or temporary Ananda. Why so? Because it is experienced. It is a limitlessness which is conditional. What is the condition? That you are in Sushupti Avastha, where the Upadhis are non-functional. And therefore, Anandamaya, when Shruti uses, it is talking about experienced or temporary happiness. It is perishable ananda. That is the first reason, right? The second reason for what? We are discussing why do we call the prajna as anandamaya. So why is the sleeper full of ananda, right? So when I have an individuality, there is always a division. Individuality means wherever my upadhis are active and I am subject to the limitation, then there is a division which is either in the form of subject and object or in the form of subject, object and instrument. The subject object division is Dvaitam, duality. The subject object instrument division is called Triputi. So one is division in two forms, one is division in three forms. So both Dvaitam and Triputi are experienced by everybody during Jagrat Avastha and Swapna Avastha. Therefore, these two avasthas are called Savikalpa Avastha. Savikalpa means with a division. So these two avasthas are avasthas with divisions. And wherever division is there will be raga, dvesha, jealousy, right? So samsara will definitely be there. Wherever there is savikalpa avastha, there will be samsara. And therefore in Jagrat and Swapna, you will never be free of raga, ichha, sukham, dukkham, all these things. Whereas in Sushupti, it is a nirvikalpa avastha. There is no such experience, no experience at all. Everybody experiences nirvikalpa avastha and Sushupti avastha, right? Remember that everybody experiences. You don't need any special sadhana for Sushupti avastha because everybody naturally goes into Sushupti once or twice a day, right? Now, a lot of texts, darshanas, they use the word nirvikalpa samadhi. What is the difference? An avastha of nirvikalpa, of no divisions, which is worked for through meditation, is called nirvikalpa samadhi, while the naturally occurring nirvikalpa avastha every night is called sushupti avastha. Both the nirvikalpa samadhi avastha and the sushupti avastha are nirvikara without any divisions, right? And in both, since they are nirvikalpaha, there is no division, there is no raga, there is no dvesha, there is no kama, there is no krodha, and therefore both are free of samsara. What is the difference between the two?
जागृता
Both,
जागृत अवस्था
both nirvikalpa avastha and samadhi avastha, but that is to say both sushupti and nirvikalpa samadhi, both are temporary. Therefore, the resultant ananda is also temporary. In samadhi avastha, remember that though many texts give the impression that that ananda which is obtained in samadhi will remain, it is not so. That ananda is conditional ananda dependent upon your remaining in samadhi. Just like Sushupti is conditional ananda, depending upon your remaining in Sushupti avastha. When you come out, all the differentiation comes back, the ananda goes away. Therefore, the ananda in both Sushupti and Samadhi, they are only temporary ananda, which is why Vedanta doesn't have any major focus on Samadhi. Instead of trying to get into Samadhi, Vedanta says you work for Nirvikalpa Jnanam, which is permanent. What is the difference between Nirvikalpa Avastha and Nirvikalpa Jnanam? Jnanam is when the knowledge is gained that I am divisionless. Right? And when this understanding that I am Nirvikalpa is through knowledge, then I am Nirvikalpa when? Not just in Samadhi or in Sushupti, but even in Jagrat and in Swapna. I am Nirvikalpa all the time. Therefore, Nirvikalpa Jnanam is Vedanta, whereas Nirvikalpa Samadhi Avastha is Yoga. The yogi's definition or destination rather is going into the Avastha. Our destination is to acquire the Jnanam. What is the Jnanam? Aham Nirvikalpa Asmi. When? At all the times. Not just in Samadhi or in Sushupti. Okay. Now, Shankara in his commentary makes a point. In terms of the experience, the Anubhava, is there a difference between the Prajna and the Turiam? Turiam is Brahman. He says no. He says the Anubhava for the Prajna, the Pramata in Sushupti Avastha, is the same as the Anubhava for the Atma or the Turiya. And that is why he says Sushupti is taken as an example for moksha. That is why the words Prajnana Ghana Eva. While referring to Brahman or Turyam, we don't use the term Anandamaya. What term do we use? Remember, Anandamaya. Maya refers to the product, the karyam, born out of the Sushupti Avastha. So it is temporary. Therefore, Ananda available in Sushupti is Anandamaya, temporary product. While Turiam, the Ananda is Brahmananda, available all the time. But because of the lack of differentiation in both, the Prajna, for both Prajna as well as Atma, the term Sushupti is used as an example for moksha. Then you can ask a question. How do I experience, how do you say that I experience Ananda and Sushupti Avastha? The experience is that, the answer is that the Atma Ananda, which should be experienced by you all the time because you are that Atma and Ananda is your nature, you don't experience that in Jagarat or in Swapna because both in Jagarat and in Swapna you have Mamakara, Ahankara, Raga, Dvesha. These four are not there in Sushupti Avastha or for that matter in Samadhi Avastha. And therefore, since there are no thoughts to disturb me, I experience my own nature, which is Atmananda. Therefore, Ananda book is Prajna, but Prajna which is full of Ananda. And how do I register that Ananda? Because you are in Karana Shariram, in Sushupti Avastha, right? So there is in Karana Shariram, in Sushupti Avastha, there is something called a Karana Vritti, which registers this Ananda. You don't experience that Ananda during Sushupti Avastha. That's why it's Karana Vritti, subtle Vritti. But when you wake up, you remember that I was very happy during Sushupti Avastha. Karana Vritti registers the Ananda experience during Sushupti, but the experience is only when you wake up. The registering and experiencing are in different avasthas. That is why Prajna is called Ananda Bhukaha, experiencer of Ananda. In Jagrat and Swapna Avastha, it is the subtle body which experiences. Whereas in Sushupti Avastha, the experience is through the causal body, through the Karana Sharira. All very, very important ideas. So, what is the difference between subtle body experience and Karana Shariram experience? It should be very easily answerable. When I experience something through the subtle body, at the very moment of the experience, I know that I am having this experience. Right? Whereas in Sushupti Avastha, you experience only Ananda through the Karma Shariram. And its registration of Ananda takes place at that point of experience. But the experience, the awareness that there was Ananda, it takes place only after you wake up. That is the answer to how do I know that Karma Shariram registers Ananda, Sushupti, because when you wake up, you say, I was sleeping very peacefully, I had no problems. Therefore, in Karma Shariram registration of Ananda, you cannot say, I am registering. You cannot use the present tense. The present tense is possible only when the registration of the Ananda is, or any experience, is through the Sukshma Shariram, the mind. Okay. Any questions so far?
Acharya, I want to ask something, but I'm not able to put it. Like some people, they pass away in their sleep. So, if will it be a different if it goes in the Swapnavastha or Sushupti? I don't know. I'm not able to put the question. Is
No,
it going?
your exact question is that if you pass away in your dream, which means if your physical body drops in the dream, is it during dream? Is it during sleep? Is it during Sushupti Avastha? We don't know, right? So what exactly is the question?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not able to put it. Is it will be it be a different? Some there will be no experience. Like I don't know. I'll write it down.
Just, yeah, please just think about it and put it in the group and I'll try to answer. So we have still left with Prajna, which we look at in the next class. Any other questions?
Yeah, Acharya, this happiness that we experience with Pradnya, it is still a reflected Ananda.
Yes, very much. Because the registration is by subtle body, I mean by the Karma Shariram, which is very much body.
So, Acharyaji, so in even just like in Sushupti Avastha, we come out and we experience, I mean, we exactly not experience happiness or Ananda. It's actually no experience state, I think. And even in the Samadhi, exactly the same thing happens.
See, your natural state is Ananda. So when you say I am unhappy, you are having a superimposition of unhappiness upon the natural state. And that happens in Jagrata and Swapna. But in Sushupti Avastha, those thoughts are not there. So you are in your natural state, Ananda Bhukaha. You are experiencing your Ananda only, your natural state only, but through the Karma Shariram. When you say I'm experiencing Ananda, you are talking about reflected Ananda. That is not what we are saying.
And even in Samadhi, it is reflected Ananda only.
It is the same logic that all other bodies are non-functional. No thoughts are there. So you're resting in your original state. Tatha swarupe avasthanam. You guys are still not understood. Ananda cannot be experienced. Swarupa Ananda cannot be experienced. If you're looking for that Swarupa Ananda experience, you're still not understood Vedanta. Swarupa Ananda is the understanding that I am the Ananda principle. It is a knowledge, not an experience.
Acharya, through Karana Sharira, also the Ananda is reflected Ananda, right?
Karma Shariram is a reflecting medium, no? Any body is
Yes,
a
so it
upadhi
is
is a reflecting medium.
reflecting.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so with this we'll stop for the day. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om
Happy
Om.
Mahashivratri.